Welcome back, everybody, to the Spotlight, and we have our content creator spotlight, MuscleManMalcolm. Malcolm, you are actually taking the spotlight virginity here because this is our debut episode. You're the first person in the content creator spotlight. Please go gentle on us.
Definitely. I'll try. But I'm happy to be here, man. Thank you guys for having me.
We appreciate you joining us, man. If you haven't, everyone, check out MuscleManMalcolm. He is on Twitter at Malcolm Muscle. He is on YouTube at MuscleManMalcolm on YouTube. Go check him out. He's a big-time interviewer. He's interviewed everybody from Nick Aldis to Chris Bay. He recently did an interview with him. Calvin Tankman, AJ Francis, Top Dollar just did an interview with him. Malcolm is everywhere interviewing everybody. And I got to ask this first off, how did you get into sort of the interviewing game in wrestling?
Yeah. Honestly, I've been doing wrestling, YouTube in general, just making content since like 2012. But I feel like I'm really big into like watching like documentaries and just like learn about wrestling. Right. So like, it's 2022. Like, honestly, like this is like the social media age of professional wrestling. So like every AEW guy has a freaking vlog right now. Like there's so many people that are like just showing their lives out on social media that like just be able to have the opportunity to learn more about people, learn more about their story, where they come from, etc. has always interested me. So just with that in mind, like interviewing these guys and just getting to know them as wrestlers, as people, has always been something that's been pretty cool to me. So just having the opportunity to talk to these guys. I luckily made friends with Lance on Hawaii when I was a lot younger, and I got to interview him. I like the process of it, so I was like, let's just keep going and see what happens. So now we're here.
Jensen. You wanted to go to me? Yeah,
yes,
I thought you had a follow-up, Jeremy. Jeez. I'm over here like making sure the sun doesn't get in my eye. I'm sure you all can see that thing with my blinds. It's like going all over my face. Yeah, dude. If you want to lob it over to me, like Malcolm, the first question I had for you is, how old are you?
I'm 22. I'm still in college, my last semester right now.
Yeah, so I that's what I thought. So I watched some of your interviews, and you were mentioning college, and you had mentioned in your Jeff Jarrett interview that you started watching TNA when you were around 11. Yeah. So your perspective on wrestling has got to be pretty interesting for somebody who's as young as you are, but interviewing a lot of people that someone like Jeff Jarrett, for instance, you missed his whole run up to TNA. But then, of course, I'm sure you've retroactively went back and watched the stuff that you missed when you were younger or too young to even know what wrestling was. So, I guess how has it been for you as far as like, do you have to do a lot of research into the people you're interviewing or that kind of stuff?
Nah, man, I'm a big mark, so I kind of already knew half this stuff before I go into it. A lot of it's mainly just like I think about just like old storylines and stuff that I've heard before, and kind of just think about like, oh, what about this as a kid caught my interest? So I just want to talk about like, all right, what's the detail that went behind it that led to my interest being caught when I was younger? So talking to someone like Jeff Jarrett, I mean, I watched his career. I'm big on like watching super old wrestling, like NWA, AWA type stuff. So hearing about Jeff Jarrett's career and watching old TNA stuff and the stuff in WCW, etc. I kind of already knew a decent amount about him, but after that, just look at the Wikipedia page, get the basic information in, and like, all right, bet I already know what to talk about. Let's just go for it.
Are you a fan of or know of Nardwuar, the interviewer out of Canada?
Yes. Yeah, I've heard of him.
Okay. I'll ask that because I've noticed in part of your interview style, you seem to ask questions that are a little out of the box. Like I think is that a big thing that you think about ahead of time is like, I want to ask stuff that they're just not asked often.
Yeah. Cause I'm a small wrestling creator. So like the fact that there's so many big guys, I mean, Sean Ross Sapp, obviously, Chris, Denise, etc. Like there's so many people that are doing it very well on a very bigger platform to me that I just want to ask something like incredibly not off-putting, but like just different that they haven't talked about before, just so it gets clipped and put somewhere else. Because like someone's gonna obviously watch that. I'm like, all right, who's this kid? Never heard of him before. Then they find my channel. They're like, all right, he's decent at most. I might as well subscribe to him.
And that was kind of my question is how conscious are you of trying to get information that isn't out there already? Because when you are interviewing a lot of these people, some of them do a million interviews. And so as someone who listens to a million interviews, I hear the same stories a lot. And that's something I appreciate about you and your interviews is I will get something new from you to be able to run. So it seems like, you said you listen, it seems like to Sean, Denise, Chris, anybody else you listen to whether it is, okay, I can take something from their style, or it is, all right, I'm about to interview this person. What did they ask? So I don't repeat this.
Yeah, I kind of do that. I look up a lot of different interviews and just see like, especially more recent ones. So I'm like, all right, they talked about this already. So I was thinking of like, if I think of like a question or two that was going to be asked in that interview, I'm like, all right, maybe since they've talked about it 3 or 4 times, they won't give me that strong of an answer, understandably, because like how many times can you tell the same story? So I mainly just like look through to see older interviews that they've done. I'll watch like the big ones, obviously like Sean, Denise, Chris, etc. Ella J's a great one as well. And kind of just look to see where are they talking about. I'm like, all right, since that's already been covered most likely, let's look at like some other stuff that they maybe just not missed, but just didn't ask. So that's kind of the motive going into it.
Yeah, I was also curious. You said that you started YouTube how long ago?
I started like 2012, 2013, one of those years.
So how old were you around that time?
I was about like 11, 12.
That's wild. So that's kind of what I was getting at is like, so me and Jeremy, we're kind of becoming old heads around here. We're, in our 30s. And back when we were your age, there was no outlet for this. Even when I was in college myself, shout out to Georgia Southern University, GSU. I had to do MMA radio shows on college radio because like YouTube was a thing, but like you couldn't make money off it. It was still really in its infancy. Yeah. And so like, I just wanted to say it's wild here, that perspective of you being that young, getting on YouTube, having an outlet. And is that, I guess, a big part of the motivation too, was like the technology is there. I'm a big fan. Like, why don't I just go for this? Because there's no barrier to entry really.
Yeah, big facts. So like I have like the opportunity, like a radio show at my school as well. I go to Mount St. Mary's University, but it doesn't really interest me that much because like I know what I want to talk about is either like MMA, like you said, or professional wrestling. I know that's not like the strongest talked about thing amongst the campus. So I'm like, all right, I already have this channel. I want to talk to these people. I have a decent enough followers that maybe they might respond. I might as well just DM them and see what happens. And so far I've been hitting so far. So hopefully keep that train going.
Along with the interviews, you also just do like kind of content videos. Yeah. How much goes into creating those, and how do you try to balance like, okay, I got an interview here, but I really want to do this content video? Because I've noticed just kind of scrolling down the page, like sometimes it'll be loaded with interviews, and then sometimes it'll just be loaded with content videos.
Yeah, that's something that I'm honestly still working out and just trying to figure out like, all right, what's like the best like schedule or like concept to like uploading things I want to talk about outside of just interviews, and also having like obviously the interviews itself. Like right now I'm sitting on like 2 videos that talk about like the breaking or people that will be breakout stars in the independent scene, because I do that every year and always does pretty well. So it's just trying to figure, I'm like, all right, if I upload this interview, then do I just throw this video up there right after? Or it's something I'm still working out. I'm still trying to iron out the little details of it, but I'm also getting into making documentaries. That's coming up like later on, I think April-ish is when I should have most of them completed. So it's kind of like mixing like, all right, interviews and documentaries. How do I upload them and make them make sense all at once? Because like your channel, it's a category or like a catalog of what you've done with your whole life. So it's like, it has to make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, then no one's going to watch that many videos. Like I don't want someone just to watch 1 or 2. I want them to watch like 10 or 12. So it's kind of just something I got like still ironed out. I'm still working on that.
When you're doing your videos, is it all you? Are you doing the interviewing, the recording, the video editing, all that stuff all yourself?
Oh yeah, no, it's all me right now. I mean, I'd love to hire an editor at some point, but until then, I'm gonna do it all.
Well, the reason I asked is because I think that's something that I just think is really valuable in really any industry, especially with like all the different digital stuff you can do now. Like that's something that made me valuable to Fightful, for instance, like years back, was that I knew how to run OBS when there was no Streamlabs, how I knew how to video edit, like being diverse and just kind of a wide range of things, so that kind of when your number gets called, you go, hey, I don't even really do a whole lot of video editing, but I know how to, and they need a video editor. So I'm going to do that. Like they need someone to interview at these events, to go backstage, talk to wrestlers. Like I've done some interviews on my podcast. I've got some experience. I'll do that. Is that part of it too? Just like learn as much as you can so you can kind of do whatever you need to.
Yeah. So like I'm a communication major. So like the big goal in that major for like what a lot of people don't understand, like some people get so like dead set in like one concentration that they have. Like mine's broadcast journalism. Obviously with all the interviews, it kind of makes sense. But like I also want to like venture out into like understanding editing, understanding web design, etc. Like this semester I'm taking a web design class because I know I don't want to say the guy's name right now, but I'm building a website for a guy right now. So I'm like, all right, let me keep learning and actually like go to class for this stuff as well to actually make sure what I'm doing is correct. So like having the idea and having the skill set, I guess the word I'm looking for, to be able to do every little thing to some level of greatness is important, because you never know. Like if YouTube doesn't work out for me, it's like just being a content creator. I'm like, all right, well, I'm a decent editor. I can go edit for whatever company out there that needs it. So I even did like a whole internship last semester where I was like a video editor at a company not too far away from the school. So it's just like if you're a YouTuber, you got to make sure you know like everything across the board. So like you never know. If something doesn't work out, you can do something different and still make a name for yourself. What
is your sort of overall aspirations? I know you've been to some shows. I saw you do the DPW interviews. Shout out to those guys. But like what is your overall aspirations when it comes to whether it is now video editing or interviewing or other?
Yeah, two things. So I'm training to be a pro wrestler right now. So obviously, we got big goals in that. And the goal in that and goal for interview, if they both fly in the same thing, hopefully someone from them is watching this right now. I want to go to the NWA badly, so freaking badly. If Billy, you're watching, hi, nice to meet you. MuscleManMalcolm, greatest wrestling tuber of all time. I want to be an interviewer for the NWA. I want to wrestle for the NWA. I want the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Don't forget the S in the world to support it. It's the most important part of that name of the title. That's the goal. I want to be a wrestler. I want to wrestle for NWA. I want to be an interviewer. I want to interview for NWA. I love the NWA. I might be wearing an AEW shirt, but I love the National Wrestling Alliance.
So you sold yourself out. No one can see the shirt. You could have just said you were wearing an NWA shirt. Where are you training at?
Yeah, it's NWA.
Where are you training at?
Where am I training? So I split my time right now because of COVID. I kind of took some time off, but I'm going to go back soon at MCW Pro Wrestling. That's where Leo Rush went to. Also, I train at a smaller company that's kind of making the name known in the DMV area. DMV is DC, Maryland, Virginia. It's called C3W. Right now, their champion is Victor Benjamin. He's married to Lady Frost. And also Cody Hall, Scott Hall's son, is actually wrestling there. So I actually have an interview with him coming out pretty soon so people can figure out like, oh, I haven't seen Cody Hall in a year and a half. What's he up to? So talk to him. He's doing well, and it should be coming up next week, probably.
So slide that in my DM so I can get the scoops on that one, Malcolm.
There you go. So I have to ask you, especially now that you're talking about wrestling, and I was going to ask you this anyway, so it's kind of a good time to bring it up. And I don't mean this as any sort of offense. This is just a question because I've seen you on camera. What is your size and weight? Like, how tall are you and how? Because you're like, I saw your interview with Calvin Tateman, and Calvin Tateman's a big dude, and like you're at least as big as Calvin Tateman, like size wise. Like that's what I noticed. I was like, dude, this is Malcolm's a big dude.
Yeah, the name is real, man. So I'm 6 foot, maybe 5'11". I'm gonna say 6 foot. But I weigh like it fluctuates. I mean, I know 1 point I was 280. I know 1 point I was 320. I'm ranging in between 270 and 330, somewhere in the middle. I'm always ranging right there. I'm a powerlifter, by the way. So the name MuscleManMalcolm, it's not an ego trip because some people think it is. I actually got it from John Cena when I was 14. I went to an autograph signing, and he was there, obviously, because that's why I was there. And I gave him like a workout glove that I had because he was the reason I started working out. It was a sweet little moment, blah, blah, blah. And he signs it, and he says in this deep John Cena voice, like, oh, MuscleManMalcolm. And then just signs it. I'm like, I like that. I'm going to use it. So it really it came from John Cena making a stupid joke that I thought was incredible, and I want to make money off of it.
Dude, that's the best. You legitimately got your nickname from John Cena. Like, and you have a talking point forever. Like, you can always tell that. You can always tell that story. Like, that's great. So I knew you through Twitter. I had seen the name and everything, but when I saw you on camera, I was like, this so it wasn't surprising. It wasn't surprising to hear like you're 22.
Yeah.
So 22 years old, big dude, lifts weights, wants to train, wants to interview. So I mean, it's inevitable you'll be doing something in pro wrestling. I mean, it sounds like you're literally putting out the biggest net possible. You can wrestle, you can interview, you can edit, you can do whatever. Like, you just want to be a part of the business.
Yeah, no, I really do powerlifting. Like, I actually compete. Like, at one point I was nationally ranked. I know I kind of fell off a little bit from that exact ranking, but I'll be back up there real soon. The goal, I'll put it out here right now as well. I want to break Mark Henry's record. His deadlift record is 850. That ain't nothing. Ain't nothing.
Okay.
All right. Okay. That's my dad. I love me some Mark Henry, but I got to break it. Right now, I'm not too far away from it. I have to break it before I turn 25 and 22. I got time in the bank, got money in the bank, and I'm pretty sure I can break it. So soon enough, Mark Henry's gonna have to slide in my DMs like, "Hey man, didn't know you were that strong." Jeez, I'm like, "Yes sir, yes sir."
It's funny you bring that up. So like back when I was in high school, and I've heard I tell this a lot, but this is relevant to this particular story.
Yeah.
Well, I went to high school with Cody Rhodes. We were on the same high school wrestling team, and the reason I bring this up is because I've heard Xavier Woods tell this story because I got to see Austin Creed, Xavier Woods versus Cody Rhodes in high school before either of them were on television doing pro wrestling. They were both highly ranked amateur wrestlers in high school wrestling in Georgia, in the Atlanta area that I'm from. And I remember Xavier saying he wrestled up multiple weight classes to wrestle Cody, and his whole mindset was, I know Dusty Rhodes is going to be there, and if I can beat Cody, Dusty's going to have to call the WWE and go, hey, there's someone who can beat my son and he wants to be a wrestler. So it's kind of like, if you can beat Mark Henry's record, he's going to have to make the call and go, yo, this is the kid who beat my record. We got to get him in here.
That's the goal. I even got your company shirt on, Mark. I mean, I have to go there. Yeah, no, that's the big goal. I mean, and also to break Mark Henry's record, I'd also be breaking Big E's record as well. So I'm just saying, like, love them both. Y'all are like family to me. Mark Henry, you don't know me yet, but I am your son. I can break both your records, and it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be fun. We'll shake hands, we'll take some pictures and stuff. That little Triple H pose is gonna be sick.
Malcolm, what's been last one here? What's been your favorite interview that you've done?
That's so hard. Honestly, I'm not gonna say names. I've only had like one bad experience ever, and it really wasn't even that bad. I've honestly loved talking to every single wrestler I've ever talked to because like half these guys I like grew up watching, so I'm like, yo, this is like sick, but I gotta like stay friendly so they don't think I'm weird. But like also just watching these guys on independence absolutely kill it. I'll drop a few names just because I like most of these people so much. Nick Aldis, obviously, I've interviewed him like 5 times. That's my guy. Leo Rush, big fan. He's from my area. To see him do what he's doing now is absolutely incredible. Sefa Fatu, Solo Sakai, I'm a big fan. He's honestly probably been one of my biggest interviews so far, if not the biggest right now. So it was like his last one before he went to NXT. So to see what he's doing right now, love him. Love seeing what he's doing. And then the last one, I'll go with Darius Lockhart. Love Darius Lockhart. Dude is up next. He is so good. Also up next, Lucky Ali's from the North Carolina area. Super talented guy. All these guys are super incredible. Throw in one last name there as well. Mr. Grimm, Hitman for Hire, one of the best independent wrestlers on the scene right now. Highly underrated, best big man in the business right now. AEW, NWA, 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 NWA. Pick him up. The dude is solid, and he deserves the whole world.
Let everyone know one more time where they can find you at.
Definitely. So you can find me on Twitter right up here or here. Malcolm Muscle. I tweet a lot of stupid stuff. I like wrestling. You like wrestling, so we might as well be friends. I'm on Instagram, the MuscleMan Mal. Sometimes I post workout stuff. You will be embarrassed because you can't lift as much as me. And that's okay. You can get up there too one day. I also post pictures of a lot of wrestlers. You'll like it there as well. Then YouTube, MuscleManMalcolm. I post all these interviews, all this wrestling content. The Royal Rumble's coming soon. I'm going to be doing some reactions to that. Hear me scream when I see Mojo Rawley return. It's going to be great.
Guys, we appreciate everybody listening. We'll be back in just a second. Malcolm, thank you again for taking the time out with us today. You can follow him at Malcolm Muscle on Twitter. Follow him on YouTube at MuscleManMalcolm. All the links will be in the bio, the description below. Malcolm, again, thank you. We'll be back in just